Well, I'm sure you heard now of the church in Minnesota that was attacked. And if you and I had done it, the FBI would have already killed us, killed our pets, neighbors' pets. Nothing's happened to these people just yet. You've probably seen the footage. Renee Good! Renee Good! Renee Good! That guy who is very close to the microphone, and I guess maybe wielding this camera, is William Kelly, a peculiar, vehement, disgusting anti-white pig that should be buried under the bridge after being found guilty for attacking this church and the folks therein. We'll see what ends up happening with, of course, the woman in charge. So there are children in here in this church. The children are being called racists and white supremacists and screamed at, and they're crying, and they're hiding their faces in their parents' shoulders and chests, wanting to escape. Women in here who are frightened. Of course, this is a modern church, so there's zero testosterone present and therefore no resistance, regrettably. The honest truth is we've had a couple of these instances, like, what was that, 4 or 5 years ago, where the person who came in to murder everybody in the church with a rifle walked down the side of the pews like they were doing there with a rifle all the way down. And some old guy with more testosterone than two Zoomer boys put together stood up with his handgun. And I don't remember what he was holding, but it was a handgun, and shot like 30 feet, shot that guy dead at 30 feet with a handgun under pressure while the shooter was walking. I mean, there's some white men left out there. Not many, but there are some. I wish he had been at this church. This is one of those instances where if I had been at this church, when they stormed in there shouting this about Renee Good, I would be the only one in the entire church that would look to the ceiling and thank God. Thank you, God, for giving me this opportunity to lay waste to some anti-white scum. My fellow churchgoers would be like, why is he thanking God? Is he in on it? Until they would see what would happen next. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are your people? Why are you not at Whipple every day fighting for the humanity, standing for our people? Where are you? Now, what could this pastor have said, this preacher? What could he have said? If he had go free, he could have started screaming in his face of this William Kelly that he's an anti-white pig and he needed to get his anti-white ass out of there. What would William have done? Now, William's going to post the video no matter what, because this is a whole operation. William was already calling these white churchgoers white supremacists and racists and you white people. The problem was them being white. The demon in anti-white narrative is the white race. So he would have owned it. He would have owned it, and then that would have been the video. Yes, I'm anti-white, and here are the reasons. That is what we want. Their spokespeople, their activists, this is what we want them saying so that our brothers and sisters hear it. We don't want our brothers and sisters to continue to muddle along and feel like maybe they're immoral if they stand up to somebody like William Kelly because he just cares about the downtrodden. We want William Kelly telling you and everyone that ever sees the video, how much he hates the white race. And then this pastor could go from person to person that attack the church, wielding the Go Free dialogic, burning them down. You chose a white church. Why did you choose a church with so many white people? Is it because you hate white people? Is it because you practice anti-whiteism? What are the reasons that you have for victimizing white people? Give them to me. Give them to me on camera. All the reasons you have for wanting to victimize this 7-year-old white little boy and this 7-year-old white little girl. I want to hear them. I want all my brothers and sisters to hear them. Because while my brothers and sisters can give up everything to appease you, they can't give up their race. When my brothers and sisters finally understand that you are coming for them, for their essence, for the way they were born, and there's nothing more that they can surrender, they become a people. And you, William Kelly, are finished. If they start listening to me in this community, anti-whiteism is finished. And these little acts like this, these little stunts are finished. Imagine a different church. Imagine a church with a congregation that wasn't white guilted, that wasn't infected with anti-whiteism. A Christianity that wasn't teaching Christianity through the lens of the anti-white narrative, crowning as the word of God concepts from anti-whiteism like racist or bigotry or white supremacy, speaking from the pulpit as though God had ordained from the beginning that these things were sins. So it's not just man's commandment, but the Creator's. Imagine instead a proud white race in this church. Imagine instead a unified white race in this church. You notice how when the anti-whites came into this church, they worked as an organized body, but the congregation operated as selfish individuals. They huddled up into little groups instead of coming together against the attack. A unified white people would come together. They would immediately identify the aggressor as anti-white, therefore anti all of them present, and their non-white friends who were present as well, because they're going to burn, the anti-whites will burn them down as well. They'll be called white supremacists. We see it all the time. So imagine them coming together and saying enough is enough. Imagine instead of them saying, I have no comment. I have no comment. And the pastor just saying, I'm trying to teach the word of Jesus over and over. We're trying to worship Jesus. Instead, you have the anti-whites on one side saying you're racist and the white people on the other saying you're anti-white. Now our lines are drawn. Now our flags are visible. Now there can be a fight. There can't be a fight without a people. I don't know how many different ways I have to make this point. Still have folks pour in here. I know you all experience it too when you go out and you're swashbuckling and you have all of these vegetables. The cauliflower shows up, wants to tell you what's really going on in the world. They don't have any idea. And how to remedy it, they don't have any idea. So what's the next best thing that can happen in this kind of a scenario? Well, we got to hope that Pam Bondi really uses the full force of the Justice Department as would be used against you or me. Imagine if we showed up, imagine if white people showed up at a black church. Imagine if white people showed up at a synagogue. Imagine if white people showed up at a Hindu temple. How do you think the Attorney General would act? How do you think the FBI would respond? Why is that? Do you even know? Do you realize that all of the human animals that compose all of these entities are infected with anti-whiteism? That understand that morality is what anti-whiteism determines and deems as morality, and immoral is what anti-whiteism determines and deems as immoral in every single one of their heads. Not just one person at the top, not just some group behind some one person at the top, all of them. This goes completely hand in hand with what we were talking about earlier when the Trump's administration was sharing, hey, we've tracked the money. These are the groups. These are the names. These are the people. We know the people. You can't get rid of them and have anti-whiteism go away. It doesn't even get better. Those voids will just be filled by other anti-whites and other means.
You drink your coffee, you got your jewelry, you have your nice clothes, but what do you do? What do you do to stand for your Somali and Latino communities? I'm not going to comment.
What do you do to stand for the Somali and Latino community? Why do you hate white people so much, you piece of shit?
No comment, exactly.
Look at this child here. Child even has, there's this Asian lady here. I don't know if it's the second wife or whatever, or a girlfriend. I don't know who she is in this, but she's even consoling the little white child.
Renee, good. Renee, good.
They stayed there until they ran the churchgoers out of their own church. That's where it is. DOJ says it will press charges against Don Lemon. Are they really going to? And what kind of charges are they going to press against Mr. Lemon? The Department of Justice will pursue charges against the anti-ICE agitators who invaded a Sunday church service in St. Paul, including a disgraced former CNN reporter Don Lemon, who feebly attempted to cloak his participation in the chaos as an act of journalism. Of course, he's got himself videotaped where he's with these people before the attack, and he's saying, what are we doing? When are we leaving? Not as a uninterested third party or just a third party who's reporting on things that are happening as a participant. He's saying, we show up and we see all these white people. I mean, this is the level of anti-whiteism in Don Lemon. And we thought, this can't be right, he says. All these white people, it's MAGA signaling with all the white people. And one person had like an American flag bandana or something. But he says, because of this kind of operation, we need our allies. This son of a bitch should be fried by the dip. Let's see if it happens. Let's see what kind of charges are pressed. Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, Harmy Dillon, told conservative podcaster Benny Johnson that the department will pursue charges related to the indictment in which families and children were terrorized by a screaming mob of protesters at City's church. Lemon went into the facility and then he began, quote, unquote, committing journalism, as if that's a sort of shield from being a part, an embedded part of a criminal conspiracy. It isn't, Dillon clarified during the appearance. And of course, you all probably saw where he is harassing the preacher saying, we're just trying to worship Jesus. Let us worship Jesus. I have to take care of my flock and worship Jesus. And Lemon says, you heard of the Constitution? We got a First Amendment right to speak and to make you uncomfortable, except not in a church. You're not allowed to go to a church and harass people, make them uncomfortable. I would be happy to make Mr. Lemon and Mr. Kelly very uncomfortable in the way that they wake up in the back of an ambulance. In her interview, which in the midst of this, had I been there, God, Will you ever be that good to me? Dillon also hinted at the possibility of the DOJ charging Lemon under the Enforcement Act of 1871, also known as the Ku Klux Klan Act. Can you just send him to jail? So, are they going to charge him with something that's going to fail? I'm going to tell you what. If they charge him or this William Kelly with anything that fails, it was because it was designed to fail. And they really would need to clean house at the DOJ in a big way. So we'll see. If they're going to undercharge, give them a little tap on the wrist, and let the anti-white terrorists continue their terrorizing, because that's to give them carte blanche. If they can escape any serious punishment, that's to ensure it will happen again and again and again. Or they're going to overcharge, and then the case falls apart. We're going to see. Whenever anyone conspires to violate the protected civil rights of American citizens, the Klan Act can be used to bring a conspiracy charge. Ahead of the group barging into the house of worship, Lemon filmed a segment saying he had done some reconnaissance with the activists, which included members of Minnesota Black Lives Matter, who were milling about in a parking lot a few feet away. Quote, they're planning an operation. We're going to follow them on. I can't tell you exactly what they're doing, but it's called Operation Pull Up. And this anti-white black female pig at this reconnaissance, at this pre-attack meeting, is talking about how it's about making them all feel, making all them white people feel uncomfortable. That's what it's about. I know how to make you feel uncomfortable too. So what about William Kelly? He actually dared Pam Bondi to arrest him. Anti-ICE agitator. Let's have a look at him here in this video.
Yesterday, I went into a church with Nakima Armstrong and I protested these white supremacists. A pastor of the church is a fuck.
It's all about hating the white race. It's all anti-white. Anytime a cuck comes to you or a schmuck and they want to talk about Jews, or they want to talk about blacks, or the cuck wants to talk about abstractions like Marxism and communism, it's just anti-whiteism. Every time, at its core, that's all it ever is. And you can get them to tell you, just as the great Nathan Lentini did the other day in IRL, you can get them to own right up to it. Yes, I hate white people, the shop owner said, who had his pride flag and his hate has no home here out front. We all know here what those symbols and that verbiage means. It's all anti-white. And that fast, Nathan Lentini, using the lexicon, was able to get the owner to say as much. Here you have William Kelly. He has this F Trump. What is it about Trump? Is he not Marxist enough? Is he working for the Jews? No, none of that is it. He hates Trump because Trump gets in the way of the march of anti-whiteism, to whatever degree he does for William Kelly. That's why he hates him. So he goes to the church because the white supremacists are there. Please, William, talk more.
Into a church with Nakima Armstrong and I protested these white supremacists. A pastor of the church is a fucking ICE leader in the city. How can you be a fucking pastor and be a fucking ICE agent? Fuck them. They want to come after me? Fuck them. How can they live so comfortably while the fucking people from Somalia that are in this country legally, that have fucking citizenship, can't even go to their mosque and pray. How do they deserve any fucking different? Fuck those fucking Nazis. Come and get me, Pam Bondi, you fucking...
So the conclusion of the thinking here, you have to be able to follow and understand this. Non-white people get anything and everything they want. And if they don't get anything and everything they want, then you're a white supremacist Nazi and you need to be victimized. That's how the thinking goes. That's anti-whiteism. This guy is a perfect example of the thinking in the heads of every single anti-white person. Some of them are going to be a little bit more sophisticated in their delivery. Some of them are going to shriek just like him. Some of them are going to try to use a certain set of excuses a little bit more for why they need to arrive at the exact same conclusions that he wants to arrive at. Another group over here will use a little bit of a different set of excuses for why they want to arrive at the exact same conclusion that he wants to arrive at. And it's that conclusion that matters. All of their excuses, they're manifold. All that matters is the conclusion and where it intersects with our well-being. And where it intersects is the ill-being of Western kind, and therefore every individual member, no matter how much you disavow, no matter how colorblind you are, no matter what you are willing to give up to appease or placate, you cannot give up your birth, your quintessential identity. And that's what these people are after, to injure under manifold excuses. And it's on display incessantly, isn't it? If you just have the eyes to see. It's everywhere to observe.
Fucking traitorous bitch. All power to the people. Yesterday.
Power to the people. There you have another meme pathogen, another meme pathogenic idea. It's for the good of the people that we victimize your white children. Anti-ICE agitator William Kelly is daring U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi to arrest him after she launched an investigation after him and other protesters who stormed a Minnesota church. So again, the question has to be asked, how is he not already incarcerated? How has he not been arrested? He's actually out there taunting and daring. He's so certain that it's going to be either no punishment or mild, that he can taunt Pam Bondi. People were heard shouting "ICE out" and "Justice for Renee Good" in the middle of the service. William Kelly, who goes by DA, duh, woke farmer. I guess duh is probably what he's normally thinking. On TikTok, was identified as one of the protesters after the incident and has since stood by his part in the protest. In the protest, you mean the anti-white terroristic attack on a church. In a TikTok video, he antagonized Bondi and the Trump administration using explicit language. Quote, "They want to come after me," Kelly posted on his TikTok. "F them. How can they live so comfortably?" So in other words, what is this in anti-whiteism? This is equity, the meme pathogen of equity. This concept is the death of the white race. And yet you see it everywhere in Western civilization. There can be no white person, when it comes to economics, no white person richer than the poorest non-white person. That's equity in economics. What's equity in education? No white person can have better grades than the dumbest non-white person. What is it in healthcare? No white person can be healthier than the sickest non-white person. Or that means that there's inequity. It means there's white supremacy. That is the truly demonic nature of this particular meme pathogen in the repertoire of anti-whites and their anti-whiteism ideology. How can they live so comfortably, these effing people from Somalia that are in this country legally? They have effing citizenship, can't even go to their mosque and pray. He doesn't care if they have citizenship or not, because the white race owes them, according to anti-whiteism. So you could go from, this is an important educational point. You could, if you were to take this miscreant, this anti-white miscreant, at that argument, and then try to argue as maybe a cuck would, well, what about the illegals that don't have? So based on what you just said, then these people that are all illegal, or these people who got citizenship and then immediately broke the laws of the country, this is a different lot. So we're agreement. No, we're not in agreement about those particular groups relative to the group that he just mentioned, the citizenship holders. No, because his argument would now change. His argument would broaden, it would dilate, always arriving at a conclusion where we are harmed. Skip all of that. Skip over all of that. Let's get right to the meat of the matter and have the conversation, so we can know who's anti-white garbage, who's neutral and gray matter in the background will disappear, and the people who are white positive. How do they deserve any effing different? So you white people, equity, you don't deserve any different. Shouldn't be allowed to go to church. Shouldn't be allowed to worship. Those effing Nazis. Come and get me, Pam Bondi, you effing traitorous bitch. All power to the people. Quote, we're seeing around the country, what we're seeing is they're using their political influence to attack people that disagree with them. Kelly said, that's not what the anti-whites do at all. They're going to come at me with charges, and I'm not scared of that. There's no basis for these charges. I did not block them, from their service. Yeah, you did. They could not possibly hold a service while your halitosis fetid, disgusting ass was up in their faces screaming about how they're Nazis. I did not block them. They welcomed us in. They never asked us to leave. BS. The pastor was repeatedly saying that. The police never came. So we didn't stop their service. In fact, people were still praying for their lives. So, Pam Bondi, you want to come and arrest me? You want to come and give me charges? So be it. If this guy and the rest of them that did this, including Don Lemon, if they are not hit within the month with serious charges that hold federal prison time, then there's got to be a movement to influence Donald Trump to get rid of Pam Bondi. She has done nothing at this point. And for all the people giving me death threats, threatening my life, kill me, he says. Go ahead and kill me. Because you know what? As Fred Hampton said, you can kill the revolutionary, but you can't kill the revolution. Yeah, you can kill the revolution by going after the heart of its moral backbone so that you create a resistance driven and united by a new morality. You can absolutely kill. Hampton's wrong. Maybe he was right until Jason Köhne came along. He's antiquated now. So I guess we're going to find out